All these people must be thinking, what the F is this guy doing talking to a feckin' log for? Why is he standing there talking? Okay, weight loss and exercise, losing fat and exercise, losing fat through aerobic exercise, which is how most people think you should do it, because that's the type of exercise where you burn the most amount of fat, isn't it? It's oxygen led. Aerobic, it means air coming in, you're breathing in air, the air and the oxygen is mixing together to create energy, so therefore that's the best way to get rid of your fat, because the oxygen mixes with the fat to make energy, right? That's aerobic exercise. Whereas anaerobic, you're burning up the sugar that's stored in the muscles through glycogen. So when you get the lactic feeling, the burning feeling in your legs, so forth. It's a nice spot. I'm just going to take a few videos because I've been going through this, and it's very complicated. Very complicated. As you know, everybody knows it's complicated. Human biology is complicated. Losing weight is very complicated. I've been there. I all know how difficult that is. I got it done, thank God. I had a few dodgy years. Starting back around 2005. I was like, I need to get rid of this weight. I think I was like 20 years old. I was like, and I got into the counting calories crap, and I got into the exercise crap. This is the same sort of thing when you're, oh, I'll go out and run for an hour and I burnt off 300 calories. That's a target-led form of weight loss. Nobody has ever lost weight through targeted forms of weight loss. That's where you're counting the calories every day. So, oh, I have to get to 200, I get to 2,000 calories, then I went out for an hour running, that's 2,500 calories, that means I'm losing 500 calories every day, that will be my aim. That never works. It's never worked for anybody. Anyone who has that system of targets, it's always systems over targets. So anyone who's choosing targets over the system, they'll inevitably have in their targets they'll have a day off. So you know, 1,500 calories a day, they'll get to Sunday and eat 4,000 calories, and then it just slides off. You have 1 day like that, then you have 3 days like that, then you have 5 days like that where you're, you need a system that you can be consistent with, that you can stick at, where you're not setting some daily target where you have to eat a certain amount, where you have to go out exercising for an hour, that burns off so many calories, or your weekly weigh-in, the weekly weigh-in thing. You see it's in all these bloody television programs, all these operation this, operation that, the weekly weigh-in. Of course they have to do it like that, because every year they gotta have more fat people. You can have fat people for the show, don't they? If it actually worked, if people tuned in, as I used to tune in back in 2005, when I first started getting into weight loss, and I was like buying into the whole calories in, calories out thing. Humans are like an engine sort of scenario. You go out and burn 300 calories on a run, and you can come home and eat 300 calories, and then it'll just be like basic physics of energy in, energy out. It doesn't work like that. Human biology is way more complicated than that. It's not a car. Humans aren't cars. I barely even started. As I said, I knew this was going to take a few videos. I'll try and get somewhere into it. Yeah, my weight loss. When I was doing that, I got into the whole calories in, calories out. And that was part of the exercise regime. And over time, it actually makes you fatter. Unless you get the weight off. Like with aerobic stuff, it'll actually, with just aerobic exercise, if you don't, because it doesn't lose weight, That most people think aerobic exercise lose weight. No. Exercise, general exercise, aerobic exercise, keeps weight off. It does wonders for that. keep at it all the time, keep the weight off, you end up like me. You know, a lot of people probably don't want to be that thin. You see my rib cage. I don't know what the angle's like. Yeah, new top. New top I've gotten little. The kids' top, the boys' top. Yeah, one of the great things about being really skinny and small-ish as I am, 5'8", 5'8.5" maybe, is that I can buy kids' clothes. This is €6. €6. Kids' clothes are way cheaper. Way cheaper. It's a good way of saving money. Really thin, like me. Well, like I said, most people probably don't want to be that skinny. In a cold climate like Ireland, it can be difficult. It's constantly cold. But yeah, it has a weird stain on this yoke. It has a weird stain on it. Well, this is my first day wearing it. I only bought it the other day. And I stuck it on and noticed there's like a weird stain. I don't know if you can see it. A weird stain around here. I think that maybe someone else bought it, right? Some fat kid, right? I was like, put it on and he went out for a run. Mommy, it doesn't fit, Mommy. I listened to my little Jeffrey wore the top and it didn't fit him. I don't need my money back. I couldn't get the top off, he was so fat. Anyway, just wondering how I just think that's the only way somebody wore this. Some fat kid, maybe. Or went out sweating all over the place, left this stain here. He couldn't get the top off or something, and his mum was like, "Mommy, it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit." Strange. What the traffic is in here? Completing the oh hell. What the hell? This video once where I could see my forehead. And you know, I was cold. Yeah. Aerobic exercise, for me it didn't work. As I said, it's part of the system-based things, but sorry, goals versus systems-based thing, where you're calorie counting and you're aiming for your half an hour or an hour of exercise where you burn off so many calories, then you're counting the calories. And what you're doing is, in that scenario, what you're doing is you're going by daily goals. You're going by daily goals. And that's not what you want. You want to get into exercise full time. You don't want exercise to be part of some counting regime. You don't want to be counting the calories every day. Oh, you say it was under 200 calories a day, and then I did an hour of exercise. That's 300 calories. That's 500 calories. Then when it gets to Sunday, I'll have my day off. I'll have all my cake and stuff. Or maybe I'll go out for an hour run, and then that's 300 calories. So now I can come in and eat all my cake and chocolate and stuff. It doesn't work like that. That does not work. You need to have a system. You need to be consistent. You need to be sticking at it. You gotta get away from the weighing scales. You gotta get away from counting the calories. And I'm going to show you how to get into that system over these next few videos. So this is really complicated. As we know, human biology, causing mammals, all mammals, the digestive system, metabolism, all that, it is incredibly complicated. Nobody fully understands it. I just look at it from an evolutionary point of view. I look at it from how I think nature knows what she's doing, talking millions and millions of years of evolution, the miracle of life, the genius of life, the miracle of creation, the inexplainable, the complexity, God, the universe, all of that, this miracle around me. And I just work from that basis. I think it knows what it's doing. I think it knows how it's working. I think it's made, you know, I put my trust in it. That's how I make my decisions. How I finally chose my diet. Get into that later. It's around 2008. Well, I'll get into it now. But yeah, 2008. I did yo-yoing, 13 stone, 12.5 stone, back up to 13.5 stone, 12 stone. And this is how aerobic exercise can actually make you fatter. Because if you don't get the weight off, two things start happening with aerobic exercise. One, you're going to start getting really, really efficient. Two, if you haven't lost the weight and your aerobic exercise is running based, you get injured. So now you've got two problems. You're injured, you can't do anything, and you've built up your efficiency. So even when you do go out, so say you go out once a week with your injury and keeps on getting worse or whatever, still you're not burning anything off. It doesn't work. Then you get sick or something. When you're injured, you're putting on weight. When you're sick, you're putting on weight. Winter time. Even guys, I know guys who cycle like 10,000 kilometers a year, and they still got a bit of excess weight on them through aerobic exercise. You know, they got the job, they got the kids, they miss a day, winter, bad weather. So over the years, they just slowly put on a pound, pound becomes a kilo, and it just slowly accumulates to get into the 40s. A bit of a, you know, it's the dad bod builds up. Even cycling 10,000 kilometers a year, and they're healthy. Trust me, they're healthy. Perfectly healthy, but they're not. They're not as skinny as me. They're at a healthy weight. You see that with a lot of cyclists. Low impact. I said the efficiency builds up. You miss a day. And like I said, like a lot of people, you know, they don't want to be this skinny. They don't want to be as skinny as me. But I'm just saying, I'm just making the point. Now, aerobic exercise doesn't fundamentally lead to thinness. Healthy, yeah, healthy. These guys who cycle 10,000 kilometers a year are healthy. A lot of them do it so they can eat. They want to stuff themselves. They do it so I've been out 5 hours on the bike. And that's fair enough. I've done that. I did that back in the day. After a year, 2008, a year on paleo. The paleo diet. The paleo diet. It's 2008. I decided I was going to lose the weight. I decided this was it. I had the willpower. I was in love. I was in love with my teacher. Another story. Right? Not even going into that story. I mean, it ended almost. Someone else was there in the room. He missed the test. He was there in the room. This is the final day. Almost. Right. So yeah, I had the willpower. 2008. I was in love. I wanted to get bloody chin. I wanted to look good. I wanted to feel good. Sick of being unhealthy. Sick of yo-yoing up and down, 12 stone, 13 stone, 11.5 stone, 14 stone. I think 14 stone was my heaviest. 14 stone. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't, even though I was exercising, I wasn't healthy. I wasn't consistent enough to exercise. I was eating too much targets, too many days off. Whereas, this is my off day. I had a whole week where I was fasting. Eventually you crash in that situation. You know, with insulin sensitivity problems. One day, you know, you crash. Sugar levels just collapse. Get in the door, find out, oh Christ. You know, when you got insulin problems, your sugar levels are always crashing. You get in the door, I'm dying, just get me something, anything. Enough of this, enough. I'm going to go the paleo diet, Paleolithic diet. I base this on the evolution. And with the evolution theory, kept it up for a year. At the end of it was 4% body fat. 4% body fat. And Paleolithic diet, right? Paleo, living like the caveman. It's a lifestyle thing. It's a lifestyle thing. It's not just a diet thing. You got to do the exercise. You got to do the exercise right. You got to mix the exercise. You got to look. You got to live like a caveman. You got to live like a caveman. What's the caveman doing? What's the caveman doing? Caveman's going out. Caveman sees a squirrel. Right? Caveman runs along, slow. Then he sees the gazelle or the deer. You know, he's slowly running after it. Lower road exercise. Then he sees the deer. Then he starts sprinting. Caveman's getting in fights with bears. Caveman's fighting with the wolves. Those are my deer, wolves. How dare you hunt my animal? That sort of thing. Throwing spears, climbing trees, fighting animals, sprinting after animals, running animals down, wearing them out through long distance running, lower road running, sort of things like that. All the sort of methods going that humans came up with to kill animals. That's the caveman lifestyle. Which brings us to high intensity intervals. High intensity intervals. I'm not talking about diet here today. This is about exercise and fat loss, which is the best way to lose fat. Well, you just said that you don't lose fat. Yeah, doing aerobic exercise. Aerobic exercise will keep the weight off. To get the weight off, in the first place, you're going to need high intensity intervals. That is your mecca. This is your cure, your magic cure, fatso. This is finally finally get that teacher you love. Teacher in love with love. God, love. I love her. I will spend an all day thinking of somebody. Unrequited love. I'm the knight in shining armor. I'll save my darling girl. Oh, Christ. I was so boyish back then. I was so boyish and naive. Anyway, 2008, finally got the willpower. It takes willpower. Losing weight takes willpower. I know, I've been there. Hard work, hard effort. You gotta stick at it. You gotta have a system. You gotta be consistent. Can't be having off days where you're going to break the cycle. Today's my day where I have me donuts and me cake and me biscuits. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. That's how it's done on the TV. They don't want it to work because every year they want to have the same program over and over again. I used to watch those programs. Big failure. Failed every year. I tuned back in with the fatsos, weighing in every day. Anyway, 2008, I'm in love. I get the willpower to lose this weight. I want to get tuned for this woman. Right? So, you know, it worked for me, I suppose. Can't complain. I'm going high. I go on the paleo diet, looking from evolution. For 100,000 years, man lived as a paleo caveman, as a hunter-gatherer. Before that, for millions of years, he lived on fruit. Probably even healthier diet. An even healthier diet, but I couldn't do it. Didn't have the willpower for it. Needed me meat. I know it's unethical. I know it's the wrong diet. Even the guy who came up with it has admitted on paleo diet, world population, if everybody was on paleo diet, world population at most 200 million. 200 million. Oh, you know, maybe you believe in the whole survival of the fittest and so forth. Mankind should have some massive war until there's only 200 million that was left. Maybe. I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, 2008. Dragging on now a bit. So we'll round it up here for today. Goes the train. Trans-Europa. Craft rock. Right, we're rounded up here, so I went on 2008, paleo lifestyle. Not diet, not diet. Some people just go on the diet and it fails. It's got to be the whole lifestyle. This is to lose weight. The main way to do it is the most important element to it is exercise. You said exercise to lose weight. High intensity exercise. High intensity exercise. You do 3. That's so don't you only do an hour of training every day? An hour and a half. You do 3 minutes to 6 minutes of this a week. And you're going, I'm going to get into that how and why. Oh, this is high intensity intervals. Oh, this is your mecca word. This is your miracle word. This is finally your cure. This is going to solve all those problems. It's going to get the insulin under control. It's going to make your brain bigger. Your brain's going to get bigger. You're going to get smarter. Your heart's going to get bigger. Your lungs are going to get lungs like Lance Armstrong. You're going to be like Lance Armstrong. Lance Armstrong. You're going to be like Lance Armstrong. You're going to be going up the hills. Everything. In high intensity intervals. What's high intensity intervals? Let's try and wrap this up. What's high intensity intervals? High intensity intervals is where you just go at it. Just go at it. A minute, 30 seconds, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, all the way up to 15 minutes, all the way up to functional threshold power. Functional threshold power. Functional threshold power is where, when you're at threshold, functional threshold, that's where you're at the limit of your oxygen, your consumption of oxygen. The amount of oxygen that you can bring in and metabolize to create energy. Once you go over, the limit of what you consume in oxygen, you're in the red zone. Anything in the red zone, anything in the red zone is a form of high intensity interval training. Anything. What you do is, when high intensity interval training, is you do 1 minute, and you stop, like the Belfast Express. There's probably nobody on it. There's nobody on it since the Great Panic. Trains have been completely empty. Completely empty. Roads have been packed with trains. Completely empty. Right. So, anything up to functional threshold. The functional threshold is high intensity intervals. Threshold power is where you're within your limits oxygen wise. You're not being deprived of oxygen. You're not short of oxygen. Your body can keep up oxygen wise. It's at that limit, that threshold power. You maintain for 40. You've got 20-minute threshold, you've got 15 20-minute threshold, then you've got 20-minute, 30-minute threshold, you've got 30 40-minute threshold. That's usually how it's measured. You can go all the way to 2-hour threshold if it needs to be. The thing that limits it is what wears you out when you're at threshold is just the amount of glycerin. So even if you're pushing at 15, when you get to 15 minutes, the glycerin levels just won't be able to keep up, and the threshold power will go down to 25-minute threshold. Then in your 25-minute threshold, the glycerin again won't be able to keep up. You'll be down to 35-minute threshold. Then again, the glycerin just eventually, after an hour or two doing that, even if you're fully stuffing yourself, you bonk. The body just can't keep up. The body just can't keep up. The glycerin can't keep up. You're within you've got enough oxygen coming in, but the threshold, you're burning a lot of sugar. The only way really to get fit is through threshold and high intensity interval training. Either training at threshold, Lance Armstrong, you're going for the Tour de France, you're going to win the Tour de France, you're going to train threshold. All other forms of racing, 1,500 meter, 2,000 meter, all have intervals. And intervals are also essential for weight loss. That's you, fatso. That's you, fatty. It's you, fatty. You want to lose that weight? You gotta do high intensity interval training. 3 to 6 minutes. 3 to 6 minutes of this. You do 1 minute intervals. I'd start off light. Don't go into it mad 30 seconds. Right? Start off with a 6 to 7 minute interval. Give yourself plenty of rest. Give your body plenty of rest. Changes. You change like 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds. 30-second intervals. I put that as the equivalent to 30 minutes of aerobic. And that's sort of the same going all the way up through high intensity training. So 30 seconds would be about 30 minutes aerobic. A minute is about 30 minutes aerobic. 2 minutes is 30 minutes aerobic. You get my point? So you do 6-7 minutes interval. And your aim for that day is an hour aerobic, the equivalent of an hour. So you're doing 6 to 7 minute intervals and your aim is a 1 hour aerobic. Then you just have to do 2 sets. 2 sets. 2 sets of 6 to 7 minutes. That's 6 to 7 minutes where you're in the red zone, you're running out of oxygen, putting the body under a huge amount of stress. And that's how threshold power and high intensity insulin training gets that weight off, gets that insulin under control, gets that blood sugar back to normal levels, makes you smarter, Why wouldn't you want to make yourself smarter? It makes you healthier, makes you happier, improves the whole body. There's aerobic, just doing aerobic stuff. Yeah, I mean it's adaptive. Doesn't put enough strain under the system. I doesn't put the system under enough strain to be adaptive enough. You know, people who do aerobics, plenty of them are healthy. They're not. You know, they're healthy. And they do marathons sometimes on the weekends and so forth. Fair play to them. You can't run 5k in under 20 minutes. So you know, that's fit. The difference between being a decent, healthy person and being fit. I'd rather be fit. High intensity intervals, they'll get you fit, thin and healthy. Thin limits. Always got to remember the X factor, you know, your genetics. You'll never ignore genetics, the individual you. And the Y factor, your timeline, the things that have happened in your life. How long have you, how much damage have you done, how much metabolic damage have you done, all those things. Right, I've been yapping on long enough. That's enough for today, fatso. Oh, we get into next video. I'll get into training, high intensity intervals, what it does, how to do it, what's the best way to do it, without getting injured, so forth. If you're a fatso, running's always high risk for injuries. There's a lot of flies out. Get into all that. I've yapped on enough today. That's it. What music you should listen to. Get in. I'll tell you, I'll bring you to this miracle hormone. High intensity intervals. What it does, this miracle hormone. Get into it, what it does, effect it has on the bodies. It's called insulin-like growth factor number 1, or growth hormone number 1. Insulin-like growth hormone number 1. I compare a hormone. It's a hormone. Factor, X factor, makeup factor 5. Don't like that word factor. Hormone. It's a hormone. It's an anabolic hormone. So it's better than the insulin. Oh baby, it's so fucking good. It's so good you're gonna wanna